Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Droid Life Show, episode 6-3. We are back after, well, a couple week break because we had Google I/O and some other stuff going on. But it feels good to be back because we have all sorts of cool stuff to talk about that Tim and I experienced at I/O last week. So, anyways, I'm Kellen, your host. With me, Tim, Eric, and Kyle. Everybody say hi.
Hey guys, how's it going? Tim here.
Hey, I'm Eric.
Hey, Kyle here.
I think Eric just spoke, but like the mouth didn't move or anything. It was the oddest thing I've ever seen. All right, so I/O was last week, and all sorts of things happened. Well, actually, it started happening before the day before. Android and Chrome boss, and apparently ruler of all things mobile, Sundar Pichai, had an interview with Business Week, I believe, Wired, one of those, somebody. And he kind of announced some stuff in this interview. Like he said, we're going to show off the next version of Android tomorrow as a preview. It's the first time we've ever done this. Basically kind of that Apple route where they show off at WWDC the new version of iOS or Mavericks or OS X or whatever we're calling it, and then they deliver the stable version later. So he said that was coming, and then obviously Android Wear and Auto and TV. So we got to I/O, and we got all of that and then some, and it just kept coming, and it was this 3-hour-long keynote with protesters and booing over missing Motorola 360 dates. It was a good time. It just kept going on. There was even, I think, like an hour session in the middle there where a guy was just coding on stage, and everyone took a nap. It's
The keynotes always go over. We should know better by now, right?
well, so they booked a 2-hour keynote, yeah. And then as we got into the keynote and we were like an hour and a half deep thinking it was about to wrap up, the girl sitting next to us goes, I heard this was 3 hours now. And we said, wait a minute, what? And all of a sudden it became 3 hours. And they apparently told some press that like moments before it started or something. So, but we made it. We survived. Had a great time. We have Android L now, which is the official name of the new version of Android until they officially name it something with a candy flavor. And it's in developer preview. We have it up and running on a couple of devices. We have Android Wear in the house. There's my watch. Tim also has one somewhere. Oh, he's actually wearing it. We have Android Auto, Android in the car, Android TV, which is sort of like the new Google TV, and new Chromecast announcements, news that the Nexus program isn't dying. I mean, there's so much stuff. So we've tried to kind of shrink all of it down into a few big topics, and so we'll kind of get through those, maybe get to a Q&A if you guys have questions about anything from I/O or something like that. So let's, you guys ready for this? I have a feeling we're going to try not to make this 3 hours long like Google's
like
keynote.
the keynote?
Yeah, like the keynote. We're not going to announce midway through or anything that there's another hour and a half to go. Yep. All right, so let's talk about Android L. Android L is the new version of Android. It does not have a number. It also doesn't have a name other than Android L, so it's not 4.5 or 5.0 or Lollipop. I loved, by the way, the day before everyone said it's official, it's Lollipop, and it's never been called Lollipop. There's nothing official about that. The name is Android L. So, anyways, we're not referring to it as Lollipop or anything. Android L, though, Google said is the biggest update, I believe, to date. So it was quite extensive, actually. They actually posted up a big L photo on display on stage that listed out all the stuff, and they talked about material design, and they're changing the design and new notifications, and it would probably take us a whole show just to cover it all. So let's instead of doing that, I'll just ask you guys: is there anything in particular that really stood out about Android L? Maybe favorite feature, thing, something. Tim, do you want to start?
Sure. Favorite thing so far about Android L is the new keyboard. The keyboard doesn't actually function any differently, although they did introduce a new theme, and I really like the theme because, I mean, the keyboard, if there's one thing I actually use the most on my phone, it might be the keyboard whenever I'm doing text input. So I look at the keyboard a lot, and I'm really digging the new keyboard. It's nice and smooth. It's all green. And there's no actual like lines between the tiles or the keys. It's all just flat. There you go.
There
nice
it
and
is.
flat.
Can't really see that, but yeah.
Yeah. One thing I'm not really. Sorry, what were you saying, Kyle?
I was just going to point out that that is kind of a hallmark of the new material design language that Matthias talked about at the conference, right? You know, that style is going to carry across the whole operating system eventually.
Right. Yeah, and I'm glad that. Well, it'll be nice to see if they stay true to their word because, there are some things where Google is very good about updating their designs and all that, but there's some apps that still have yet to be updated with design language. Like Google Voice has looked the same since, way back in the day.
Way back, yeah.
So, whether, we're going to be complaining until they decide to merge Hangouts and Google Voice or they update the Google Voice app to be usable and functional. One thing I don't like about Android L, not to say I really don't like it, but I'm still trying to wrap my mind around and get used to it, is multitasking in Android L. Kind of how
it's like a whole card style, huh? You don't like the card style?
I don't know. I'm just not really. I guess I'm just used to how it is, like on Kit Kat or Jelly Bean or Ice Cream Sandwich, where it just gives you a little preview of what's going on. You can dip through that, and you don't have to look at it. I guess it's just the look I don't really care for. It's kind of gray, and I just wish it was maybe a bit more transparent, possibly, or something like that. It's just maybe it's the design that's kind of throwing me off, but I'm cool with multitasking. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but I just wished it looked a little bit different. Other than that, I'm really liking the direction they're going with Android L. I'm loving material design so far. I love pressing on buttons and seeing like ripples and all that. I love that type of stuff where the OS is almost alive, when you're interacting with it. It has it's almost breathing, and it's like has its own little heartbeat. So I've always dug Matthias, and whenever he's talking about stuff, I always get dreamy about Matthias whenever he's talking about design. I'm not even really big into design. I don't know anything about design, but I enjoy hearing the man talk about his passion, and it inspires me to try and be a better person and wear.
You want to be a better designer just by listening to him talk.
There's something about him and his very fly blazers.
So
yeah,
we're sitting in the
Hunger
keynote,
Games.
and Tias comes on. We call him Tias, by the way. We're on that kind of relationship. He comes on stage, and Tim goes, "Holy it's Hunger Games." He comes out of this blazer with the beard all cropped, all. So we started passing around the picture of the guy in the Hunger Games with the really weird beard that wears suits. It's like a splitting image of Matthias. Hunger Games outfit for keynotes.
Absolutely.
What a guy.
He's such a boss.
He is. He walked out of the bathroom right before we went in there, and we got all giggly.
There's tears. Ooh. Not like that.
Hi. Yeah.
I know. I've always wanted to get my picture with him, but he's a busy guy. He's always going left, right, straight. He's like always on the move at Google.
He's always
I/O.
designing something.
Yeah, and I never want to just stop him and say, "Hey, man, that was an awesome presentation," or "Hey, man, can I get a picture with you?" Because I'm like a total fanboy.
I base my wardrobe off of yours, Tias. Thank you.
Yeah. So. Exactly.
All right, so you're going keyboard. You love. Not a huge fan of
keyboard.
multitasking.
Not a huge fan. I love multitasking, just the design that they introduced to the new multitasking.
Yeah.
So
Kyle, what have you been noticing from Android L? I'm assuming there isn't like a G2 ROM floating out around there yet that you can flash.
Not yet, unfortunately. Someone is working on porting it over at XDA, I believe. But
Nice.
yeah, I've just been watching from afar. The things that interest me are Project Volta, because apparently that's actually a thing. I mean, it's not. It's more than just rhetoric. I think Ars Technica did a test with a Nexus 5 running Android L, and they said Project Volta, was able to extend the battery 36% or something. I think Google said it should extend it up to 90 minutes with Battery Saver and this new thing called, I think it's like Job Scheduler or Task Scheduler. That's
Something
supposed
like that.
to
I think it's
kind
Job
of intelligently. Yeah, it's supposed to intelligently tell your apps basically when to update in the background and optimize, the updating for battery life. So that's sweet. I think it's something that the Android team has needed to focus on for a while. So it's good they're getting around to it. Another thing I'm excited about is the new notifications, or are the new notifications. I've had a custom ROM for a while that puts notifications on the home screen, but it's nice to have that baked in now. And I like that important notifications will now drop down from the top of the screen and are actionable. I don't think there is too much more to notifications. I think double tapping on notifications now does something. I forget what exactly, but you can manipulate them to a greater extent now.
Yeah, so when they pop up on the lock screen, you have to double tap to open them. You can tap on it in one, it'll kind of highlight it and pop it up. You have to tap again to actually launch it. That's how the double tapping works.
Right. I think that's awesome. And I guess one more thing I found kind of cool, but it hasn't really, I haven't seen it in practice yet, and I'm not sure if it's going to be implemented in the first release of L, hopefully, is the secure unlocking. I mean, I don't use a password or PIN personally, but I know a lot of people that do. And I think it'd be awesome if, the operating system was intelligent enough to say, detect if you're wearing a watch, for example, that has been paired to your phone before, and remove the password limitation and just get you straight to the lock screen. I think that sounded really cool. And I'm anxious to see if that works, without smartwatches as well. If the phone will, phones running L will be able to detect, say, if you're in your home or something, and disable the security. So yeah, those are the things that stood out to me.
Yeah, two things. Volta, I know ours did that big old review on it. I already have my Nexus 5 on the charger because every single night it dies at like 4 o'clock. So far, running the preview, I have not seen any boost in battery. I just assume that was because it's a preview and it's probably not optimized whatsoever. Like you said, they did a test and came away with some good numbers. I have not seen that in my Nexus 5. My wife has one, and hers basically comes off the charger about the same time as mine, and hers is running KitKat, and hers is nowhere near dead when mine's dead. So I blame it being a developer preview. The other thing about the Bluetooth unlocking or whatever, the secure thing, it's not in the preview, I don't think. Tim and I tried to get that working, because I'm with you. I think that's cool, because I don't set a pin or anything like that, but I would if I was wearing an Android Wear watch all the time and didn't have to use it. But then say I lost my phone at the restaurant or a bar or something like that, and it would then lock. That would be very cool. So yeah, long ways to go with the beta or the developer preview, I think, with some of that stuff. Eric, anything you saw? You were watching the keynote in San Francisco, just at your hotel.
Yeah, just not there, unfortunately. I mean, I'm going to be boring and say material design was my favorite part, but I think that was just awesome that they've put that much thought into the design, and then, bringing it to life and interactive and all that kind of stuff. I can't wait to have that on my phone. The downside to that is I think we either talked about it in person while we were there after the keynote, or somebody talked about it in the live blog, but 75% of carrier phones are never going to see most of the cool design of material design, because OEMs are going to get Android L, and then they're just going to skin it how they want to. So, the extent to most people are going to experience that is going to be in the settings menu. Even some phones, you won't get it there, and then Google Now. So, that was absolutely my favorite part. Just how good it looked, how smooth it interacted, and how it, kind of came up to you. The important stuff layered itself. That was just great. And then, just sitting down thinking about it, I was kind of disappointed because a lot of people are never going to get to mess around with most of it. So,
but isn't that what Android Silver is meant to address? Perhaps. I mean, we don't know a ton about it, but
hopefully.
Well, I'm sure that's what they mean it to. But Samsung's massive market share is going to just exclude a bunch of people from that immediately. So.
Yeah, I think that is a little depressing to think about Samsung putting TouchWiz all over the top of stock Android material design. The thing, too, though, is like once Google updates Gmail and Maps and all the calendar and all that stuff with material design, then at least you'll have, that if you're using all of the Google services. Those apps will at least look pretty.
You'll come out of Gmail and you'll be like, man, that looks so cool. Why doesn't the rest of my phone do this?
Why does the rest of this look terrible? Yeah. Yeah, I think I've watched the talk on material design at least twice now. Obviously in the keynote, and I think I watched it again. And like when you listen to Matthias talk about it, it's like he's in a different dimension, and I don't understand anything he says, and it's all awesome at the same time. So yeah,
real-time lighting and shadows. It sounds so cool. I wish I knew what it meant, right?
Right. And so I talked about this earlier when I wrote up the new dialer. The dialer's the best example of it. Like there's layers of things, and like Tim said, when you press on things and you get like ripple effects, and it's the smoothest app ever now. The dialer is you just swipe between things, and there's like different levels of things like coming up from the bottom and the side. It's pretty awesome. So they've done some cool things. We also talked a little bit about, though, sticking with material design, is are developers good enough to implement it?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from developers because we know there's a million great developers out there, but are they going to be able to implement this stuff? Like Holo was one thing. Material design is like another level of design that sounds just insanely tough to master and do. I mean, unless you're a designer. I mean, it sounds like you have to have an actual design guy on your staff now to design apps for Android.
Well, when they're adding depth to applications and talking about layers, at first, the developers only had to worry about X and Y, and now they have to worry about Z. And it just brings this whole other aspect to it. So I'm actually really interested to see, what developers can do with it, and because there's plenty of developers out there who do create beautiful applications, and we'll see if that can like transfer over, or if material design can kind of inspire them to make their apps better, et cetera, et cetera. And this goes all the way back to me thinking that iOS has better apps than Android, but like every time I use an app on iOS, I'm like, damn, this is really smooth and fluid, and it just works like well. I'm ready for Android to like get to that level of just like design where it just looks good. So I'm ready.
I'd rather them have a system that has a higher ceiling and leaves more up, to the good people to rise further than to just kind of leave everybody on the same playing field. I think material design is the chance for people to have like a three-dimensional. You know how they always say, bring the most important information in your application to like a certain point, so it's easy to access and it's easy to understand. Like this is the physical manifestation of that. Like you're going to have to figure out what information in your application is important, and then you can literally put that closer to the people than the rest of your information. So I'm excited to see what people do with it, but it is a lot to take.
Yeah, I think you're right. People, really, really good developers and designers are going to be able to do some really cool stuff with it. Like I think it is on that kind of level where you can take it and just run with it. But I just hope there's enough people that can do that. That's all. And hopefully Google starts giving us redesigns of apps soon. They showed a brief preview of what Gmail will look like and Calendar, but they haven't given us much else. So I do think they said over the next few months, probably leading up to the stable release of L, they'll give us more of that. So
Google's not just going to abandon, like throw a new thing out there and say, all right, developers, good luck. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of tutorials, or of course there were sessions at I/O that talked about the changing from Holo to material design. I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be scary. I'm sure it'll be graspable.
I don't know. You and I looked through that like 800-page tutorial on material design through the Google design site.
Luckily, it's not our job to know about any of that stuff.
This is true. We just get to talk about how pretty it looks. Yeah.
All we get to do is just take the screenshots out, put them in a post, and say, "Here it is." Here,
download new Roboto. I can't tell the difference. It's awesome. Yeah.
It looks really thin.
Yeah.
It does look good, actually. They had these Android Auto T-shirts with the new Roboto on it, but I'm just telling this for everyone else, not you, Kellen. But you had to do this. You had to do a what is it, like a tour of the Android Auto or whatever, and there was like a line to like get these stupid T-shirts, and I was like, I just want the T-shirt, man, because they look really cool. It's very subtle, just Android Auto and Roboto, and I was like, think about how cool I would be in that T-shirt. And I didn't get one because I didn't want to wait in line, so I'm kind of bummed.
There was a lot of cool Android T-shirts that Android team members were wearing everywhere. Yeah.
They're so lucky.
They are so lucky. All right, any other last thoughts? I guess I didn't really talk about my favorite things with Android L. So I've been using the developer preview basically since I got back from San Francisco. It seems fairly stable, although you can tell there's some weird um, screens and stuff that end up being transparent when they're not supposed to be transparent, things like that. Yeah, I don't know what my favorite. I do like the new Do Not Disturb mode, as weird as that is. Like right now, rather than having to volume down my phone all the way, I just hit Do Not Disturb for an hour or so, and then my phone will come back on and notify me of things. That's kind of cool.
Man, you were digging the battery monitor thing that tells you when your phone will be charged right before I left.
Yeah, so that thing, where has that been all my life? Where you plug your phone in and it tells you it will be fully charged in an hour. That's kind of cool. There's all these little things. I was just looking at that screenshot they posted at I/O that shows all of the different things. There's a lot of stuff. It's interesting though. Random note from at I/O when Sundar said he put that screen up that showed all of the features that have come to Android over the years. You know, because Apple was like, "We're so much better than you," and here's all these new features, and he puts this graph up that shows all the stuff that came out like 4 years ago. And so, you know, Apple, whenever they announce a new version of iOS, they always put up kind of a similar chart to what Google did, where it lists out all these other features that are in, you know, in iOS that they didn't have a chance to talk about. And so their stuff was like third-party keyboards or whatever, and like Google's is like job scheduler and Bluetooth 4.1 and like kind of back-end stuff, because all that forward-facing stuff they've done so long ago. Kind of interesting.
Quite.
We didn't really talk about art, but art's now official.
64-bit.
64-bit stuff. USB audio.
Mhm.
What else is in there? Yeah, those heads-up notifications that Kyle mentioned. So, just quickly, heads-up notifications. You guys like that idea or hate that idea? So I posted those up, and I'm not opposed to them. I think if they're done correctly, it would be nice to get proper notifications that pop up over whatever you're doing. But I noticed in the comments, a lot of people said, I don't really want a notification interrupting whatever I'm doing. But the point is so that they're not fully interrupting, but I guess I could see how they kind of are. What do you guys think about those heads-up notifications?
Well,
And
that was
everything-
part of the beauty of Android to begin with, was that you can get a notification and if you get a text, it'll just scroll down, and you don't in your notification bar. So I don't know. I'm being cynical, and I think that there's a way that they could be easily abused.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'll have to wait and see because I haven't been using it. I've got the Nexus 2012 and the Moto X, so I don't have a preview device right now.
Anybody else? I think you guys all three
Yeah,
chimed in. Kyle, go.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't think they're too intrusive as long as only certain applications use them. Well, I mean, as long as they're automatically prioritized, I guess. I'm not sure if they are. Maybe developers decide whether or not an app, an app should be able to notify you by interrupting whatever you're doing. But yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I think it would have been nice if Google had come up with a solution for organizing notifications, because I don't know, the notification shade hasn't changed in a while, and it's kind of annoying to me that every single notification gets the same placement, regardless of how important it is. So I would have been happier if they had addressed that, but I don't have a problem with the pop-up notifications.
So
Well, how would you have it decide what's important?
I don't know.
Well-
Maybe they could be categorized or something. Something as simple as a line separating the really important notifications from all the other ones, or I don't know. Maybe it could be intelligently done, sorted in the background. I'm not sure. Like, that's Google's job, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was just expecting something more. It's definitely a huge problem that needs to be solved. Sorry, Colin.
No, so a couple things. They did talk a little bit about how they're trying to make notifications smarter, and so that they're giving you what, after probably some crazy Google algorithm, because everything's a Google algorithm, that sort of decides either probably based on what you're using most, or depending on the service, or what the developer builds into their app. They're trying to give you the most important notifications, either at the top of your list or in front of you. So they did talk a little bit about that. And then also with heads-up notifications, it is pretty much up to the developer, and they have to set their notification priority as either high or max. So there's max, high, default, low, and min. And if they set it to high or max, all those notifications will pop up as heads-up notifications. So it doesn't sound to me like the system's trying to figure it out for you. So like you said, Eric, somebody could really abuse that if they wanted to. They could just set all of their, like I think Facebook Messenger somehow already takes advantage of it, and it's set to high. So if you're not using like chat heads or something, they just pop up on top of everything you're doing. So yeah, hopefully Google's figured out a way to not let everyone just set everything as high, so you don't get every single notification popping up on top of things. But I guess we'll see, because developers still have to build all this stuff in. So, and Tim, did you have anything to add on those heads up things?
It'd be nice just to have the ability to say, either blacklist or whitelist certain applications that you either do or do not want to have shown. If I'm in a game or something, I don't necessarily need to see Facebook status updates or anything like that, or Instagram likes or follows, but I would like to see emails or text messages or hangouts or phone calls, something like that to pop up. So as long as I can control it as the user, then I don't really mind it at all. I actually like it. So
yeah, and I get the feeling that, and just looking through documentation and stuff too, like on the preview, there's a whole section on notification design, and so I get the feeling that Google's trying to really build in new powers and controls over notifications. I'll just tell you, in the developer preview, it's not there yet. Like you can't, like you just said, it'd be nice to decide for myself which apps show those heads up and get prioritized. So far, there aren't those controls. It's all supposed to just kind of happen in the background or whatever developers do. So maybe in the future, as we get closer to stable, we'll get more. So, all right. Any last words for Android L? We don't know when it's coming, by the way, but sometime in the fall, hopefully with a new Nexus device.
We didn't talk about it. Yeah, we didn't talk about pop-ups or whatever, right? Can't apps like pop up over things or something like that? I mean, I don't have a great understanding of it, but it's kind of like paranoid Android's implementation of notifications, right? Where
are you talking about notifications or just apps running? What do you mean by that?
I mean like layers running on top of each other. I don't know. I'm not explaining it very well, but I just think of them as pop-ups. They look like pop-ups. Like things can pop up over other things now within an app.
As a
Yeah, I
part of
don't
material.
know, just offhand. Unless, yeah, that was something they showed and I just missed it.
Yeah, I'll do some research. Oh well. I don't have a great understanding of it either, and it's something they glanced over, I believe. So.
I think I kind of know what you're talking about, and I believe, yes, they did glance right over it. So, I don't know. We can go back and look at that. Anything else Android L related?
Nope.
All right, so Android Wear. We're still in I/O. We're 35 minutes in. So Android Wear, again, Tim and I each have an Android Wear watch. I have the G Watch, and he has the Samsung Gear Live, which was some sort of surprise. Actually, I think it leaked the day before, so it wasn't too much of a surprise. Android Wear is the wearable version of Android. It's basically a notification hub on your wrist that also brings in Google Now information, and it's not bad. We did an overview, or we did an unboxing. I guess we haven't done a software overview yet. We should probably do that. So we've both been using it for a while. Tim, do you want to just give your general thoughts on how Android Wear is after using it for about a week, I guess, now?
Yeah, totes. I'm going to try and have my Gear Live review up tomorrow, which will have a bit of talk about Android Wear, because ever since like the smartwatches have kind of become the craze with there was like that Meta watch and Pebble and all this other stuff, I haven't really been interested in any of them. Every time I put one on, either I just don't like the way it looks, I don't like how it interacts with my phone, I think it's a pain in the ass, it's just something else I have to charge every night. The Android Wear is like the first platform, like wearable platform, that I could actually see myself getting into, and that's because it's simple. It's very simple. It's super functional for me, at least, because I love Google Now. I love the information that it displays because I feel that it is quite accurate in terms of showing me information when I need it. So, and I was actually surprised at how awesome it was. Like, we were coming home from the airport, and it showed me the map. It showed me traffic. It showed me how long it was going to take me to get home. and I was like, this is actually kind of cool, and just being able to swipe things away, I kind of dig it. However, the devices so far, the G-Watch and the Gear Live, aren't my favorite things ever, but in terms of from what I see right now, and this is like a fledgling platform that could grow into so much more. I'm extremely hopeful for what Android Wear has to bring in future, and I'm really excited to check it out on the Moto 360 when that arrives. So yeah.
Yeah, so before we get into the 360, I kind of agree with everything you say. Like, it's the platform has definitely some good things going for it, but it's super bare bones right now. We just saw, I think, 3 different developer or companies release apps that have support for it just tonight. So all that's coming, so we'll get more support. But right now, yeah, it's basically just like Google Now, and you get Hangouts notifications, and you can respond using your voice, which is kind of cool. You could do Google searches on it, which is kind of cool as well. So it's definitely come a long way. I'm with Tim, though, in that I don't really like the G-Watch or the Gear Live, just in terms of looks, and I'm really waiting for the 360 as well.
We know.
Yes, you all know. Do you want to talk about the 360, or do you guys want to weigh in on G-Watch or Gear Live or anything? I think we should just...
I don't think we need to talk about Gear Watch or Gear Live or G-Watch.
I think the G-Watch looks really bad, in my opinion. I can't believe they came up with anything better than that. Like, that's
it's so bland.
Just to me, it's like a super bare bones developer device to get people interested in developing for it. And essentially, since it's available on Google Play and they gave them out at I/O, that's what it is. It's just a developer device. It doesn't need to look fancy.
How is it more than the Gear Live, though?
Yeah, I don't understand how this thing... Yeah, because this is, what, $229, and the Gear Live's $199?
Yeah, it must be that 100 extra milliamps or whatever, right? I think it has a slightly larger battery.
Yeah, 100 milliamps. But this bad boy's got a heart rate monitor.
Yeah, the Gear Live has a heart rate
Super AMOLED.
I mean, this thing is like the cheapest looking... Well, okay, it looks slightly better than the regular Pebble, which is not saying all that much. But I mean, it's just a cheap rubber band and a square black plasticky...
This thing actually kind of looks like a watch sometimes.
Yeah, and so the G-Watch, kind of a random note, but the G-Watch comes with like 25 clock faces or something. Like 2 of them are good, and the Gear Live has like 6, and they're all pretty much good.
I got the Taj Mahal on there right now.
Yeah.
Well, I like the photos wallpaper. That way it changes every time, which is kind of nice. Although the clock face itself, it's just bare bones digital. Like, it sucks. Like, if I could have an analog face over the pictures, that would be cool. But there's no way to change or like customize wallpapers or anything like that. You just have to choose one of the predetermined ones from them. So.
Yeah, we need someone to build an app that does it or something.
What's good though is the Moto 360.
Yes. Can we talk about a 360? Because holy is that thing awesome.
Moto 360.
All right,
so you spent some time with it, right?
Yeah, so Tim and I went on day 2 of I/O because Motorola was at the Android Wear booth showing it off. They had basically the black version. They had running through demo software, so you couldn't really play with it. You could hold it and try it on and stuff, which we did. And then everyone that was related to the Moto 360, like a Google employee or a Motorola employee, they were wearing the stainless steel one with the brown leather band, which was an actual working watch, but they wouldn't let you touch that. And it's really good. It's pretty big. Like, the round face is pretty big, and I think on anyone's wrist it's going to be a sizable watch, but
it's not over the top to me, man. Like,
it's not over the top, but like, I remember I said Pebble wasn't big, and like, our readers were like, it's huge. What are you talking about? So I just have to put that out there, that it's not small by any means. But there's something about like the display. Like, when you see the display, and like if it has an analog watch face on it, it looks like a real watch. It doesn't look like a digital, like the G-Watch and the Gear Live. They're square. So when you put a watch on there, it doesn't really look right. It just looks like you're wearing, a futuristic robotic square calculator watch thing or something. The Moto 360 just looks like a watch, and then a notification pops up and you're like, oh wait, it does more than just be a watch. And when you see people swiping through it, the display just looks like it's floating at the top. It's amazing. It really is a cool device.
It looks really cool. Yeah. There's not much more you can say. I mean, it looks really cool.
One of the guys in chat was asking if it has an active display, which I think a lot of people were probably wondering that about.
The display's on all the time.
It's an always-on display. So the Android Wear, the companion app, inside those you have two options. Either your display can always be on, or it can be off, and then when you lift your wrist, it'll turn on. But it's not like an active display in that sense.
But it is.
But it kind of is, though, because it's on, and then you get a notification. And
it would
shows
never
it to
call
you,
it an active display unless Motorola called it an active display.
Right,
Though.
which they might.
It looks like AMOLED, though, right? And that's maybe that's
they
what
won't
people
tell
are
us.
asking about, sort of.
Oh,
they haven't really.
Like if it lights up just specific pixels, Motorola won't tell anyone any of that stuff. Which, unfortunately,
I'm betting it is, but
I would probably bet that it is too. And hopefully, and also kind of on that note, the G Watch and the Gear Live get about 1 day of battery life. Just in case you guys are wondering, we have no idea what the Moto 360 is going to be like.
Probably like
could
5
be
hours.
1 day. It could be 5 hours. Could be a
Worth
couple.
it.
Maybe there's some mojo working there. Yeah. So in terms of active display, Android Wear just in general kind of works that way. Like the display is always on, showing a clock, and then when you get notifications, they just pop up and sort of tell you that you don't really have to touch buttons ever or anything. Yeah, so like Tim's it goes dark, it just shows you the clock, and then
it's very bare bones, and then you just swipe away or touch on it or anything like that. It's very simple, and which is what I like about it. Like the Galaxy Gears, in my opinion, they try and do too much. So I'm happy it's just like a very simple, elegant, wearable platform.
Yeah. The cool thing was when we got them, we were in San Francisco, so we were traveling. So you got to see, like travel reminders for your flight, and then your hotel check-ins, and then your if you need navigation to somewhere, and then when you got home and the weather changing on Google Now cards. We were kind of in the perfect situation to really see it in action, and it worked really well. I mean, I was loving it. Now that I'm home and I sit at home all day, I don't necessarily need notifications on my wrist. And I don't have a flight coming up or anything, so it's not as awesome for somebody that just sits at home like I do. But if you're traveling or you go to a job every day and all that stuff, it could be a pretty handy device. It's definitely better than anything Samsung's done. The Pebble has added a ton of functionality, but it's got that e-paper kind of display. It's not the prettiest thing on earth. This is always on display, real functionality, and it should only get better, assuming developers can make magic happen. So, really good start though. But I would recommend maybe waiting for the 360 if you're thinking about one, just until we find out what's going on with it, because Motorola is still pretty secretive about it, like battery life, things like that. Like that stuff's pretty important. So.
Well, I think they hold a lot of. They're holding their cards to their chest on purpose, because I think that they can sense that a lot of people are ready for the Moto 360.
What a cliche.
Oh,
I think if they were ready to go,
everybody groaned when they said that your 360 wasn't coming today.
Yeah, so you want to get that dish out ASAP. You do not want to hold cards to your chest. When it's ready, you need to release. There's no doubt about it. Don't wait for the X+1 or anything like that. I know if they even think that that's a good idea, the minute they have 360 ready, they need to make it available. So, in my opinion, to keep the hype up and to get as many people on the 360 as possible, release it as soon as possible.
Yeah, I just have this bad feeling that they're going to do it together, and that's what we're waiting for.
That's my guess. I kind of have a feeling that if they're not finished, they're pretty close to being done with it completely. And maybe manufacturing is pretty far along at this point, but
I would
holding it back for marketing reasons more than anything, which is unfortunate.
I think you're right. We asked people how long they'd been testing theirs and stuff, and I think somebody told us 3 or 4 months. Yeah.
And we've seen journalists with it too, like Joshua Topolsky from The Verge.
Yeah, so he's been testing it for a couple of months probably.
One journalist with it. But yeah.
Cool.
So this thing's been out there. I don't know if they're waiting for the X+1, if there's manufacturing issues. We don't really know what's going on, but I would agree with Tim. They need to get this thing out now. And like you said, Eric, we were sitting in that keynote, and they're like, the G-Watch, it's available today. And then they go, the Gear Live, it's available today. The Moto 360, and you could just feel everyone in their seat going, yeah, give it to me. It'll be available later this summer. And the whole place just booed and groaned. And if you rewatch the keynote, by the way, they edited all that out. Not the whole thing, but like the noise level, they brought it down so you can't hear all the giant amount of boos that went through. Yeah. It is the watch to look forward to. And we asked everyone a poll, actually, I think last week.
69% still.
Yeah, we said, are you buying the G Watch or the Gear Live? Because you could pre-order them that day. And 6% said they were getting each, and 69% said no, I'm waiting on the Moto 360. So
smart people. Although, unlike say the iWatch or something like that, when Apple announces that, there's only going to be one design for the iWatch. There's only going to be one you can buy. But unlike the iWatch on Android Wear, there's going to be plenty of manufacturers making different types of watches where it can fit whatever style you like. I see a lot of people in the comments saying, I don't like circles. Okay, it's kind of weird you don't like circles, but that's cool because they make square ones for you too. So don't worry about it. Like, there's going to be a watch for you if you want one. So patience is key.
do you guys have a guess as to how much the 360 is going to cost?
$349 to $399. $360.
What did you say, Kyle?
Doesn't it make sense? 360 for 360? I mean, I think that would be too pricey, but.
Oh,
Yeah.
you think that's gonna be too pricey?
No. I think closer to I think closer to 250. The price,
Oh,
the
yeah.
estimate that the contest fine print gave.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no way they make it under
Slightly.
$300.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm starting to think more and more that it's going to be
Bill it as a luxury product. They're going to be like, oh man, look at Samsung and LG. They rushed theirs out the doors. We took time. I can see the marketing now. Like
No
some
more
old
than
guy.
300.
Oh,
I think
it's
it would.
gonna,
I think it would be not a great move if it was over 300. But I'm just looking at stainless
The
steel,
quality.
a
The-
leather, premium leather or
Yeah.
stainless steel band. Like, I just don't know how they can make it cheaper. A circular
we could-
display that couldn't have been cheap to make. I don't know.
R&D.
I mean,
Depending on
this
the
G
strap,
watch that does, I don't want to say it does nothing. This G watch is $229 or
does
something
nothing.
like that. And the Gear Live's $200 only because Samsung can make everything cheap. I just don't know that Motorola could do it. I hope they do. I hope it's $299 or something. Well, I hope it's $250. But if they could get under $300, that would be awesome. I don't know if I could
I
see it
think we'll
happening.
have a base model for like $250, and then the one that you'll want to start at will probably be $299, and then you can add extra like bands or stuff like that.
So what would
do
the
most.
base model be? Just give me the one with the leather band. That's all I want. If
Probably
that's-
$299. I feel like they'll come out with one like 16 gig of memory and a plastic band for $250.
Well, no, you don't
And then-
need memory. Like, they have 4 gig, but it's not like you put music on them or anything.
Yeah.
I don't even know why these things have 4 gig of storage. I don't know what that's for.
Probably because the 4 gig modules were the cheapest ones they could, or the smallest
Probably.
capacity they could mass produce. But
Yeah.
I think the steel band will add at least $50 to the price, but I would be shocked if there was a model for sale over $350.
Yeah. I mean, I hope you're right. Although a lot of people said they would still pay up to. I think I saw a lot of people saying in comments they would pay up to about $350. I think if you get close to
that's the thing,
400, that's going to scare people.
Watches is a market where you can like just do crazy stuff, and people are like, all right, yeah, it's got some gold that's farmed out of some rare mineral deposit out in the middle of Africa. Oh, all right, I'll pay an extra $100 for that. Like, that's a market that you can like do stupid stuff like that and charge for more. So I'll be curious to see if Moto like jumps on that train.
I don't see why not. I mean, I know plenty of people who spend $500, $1,000 on watches like it's nothing because they're watches. They're timepieces, And
But are those the type of people that want like a smartwatch?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
the
Well, let's
Moto
see if-
360 is the first one that I feel like yes, that
That's
they
true.
would want
Yeah,
that.
That's the market Motorola's going for, I think.
Real
And
watch people.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I think that's good because it's the first smartwatch that I actually want because of the way it looks, and that's
Yeah.
the first thing I think about when I get a watch. I don't care about the functionality or how is it Japanese movement or anything like that. Like I want it to look good, and then I want it to be able to tell time well. So
Yeah.
I don't care what the
I-
price is.
I feel the same way. The reason I want this, and I kind of said it yesterday, is because it looks like a watch first. and then it has this added sort of smartwatch functionality behind it, and but it looks like a sweet watch. Like, it looks like something I would go buy just as a standalone watch first, and then it does all this other smart stuff. So that's why, yeah.
Preach. Real talk, real talk. Keep it 100.
So yeah, I guess if you're right, Kyle, and they're going with the Moto X Plus One launched, it's not coming for another month, right? Month and a half, maybe. We don't really know, right? But
that's my prediction.
yeah, and I don't think any of the Motorola people we talked to really gave us any sort of hint whatsoever. Like, I don't think they said we'll be talking to you soon or anything like that. They just kind of said, yeah, we're not telling anything right now. It was unfortunate.
So unfortunate.
Yeah.
People think we get tons of Moto money, but no, we get no love for Moto.
Not anymore. We used up all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Woodside.
Woodside's gone. All right, let's go to Android Auto really quick. I wasn't paying attention at all during the Android Auto part, so if you guys know anything about Android Auto, I would love to hear it. I know that's terrible that I'm admitting that, but I was writing up like Android L and Wear stuff during this portion.
I wish they had driven a car up on stage. That would have been cool.
Yeah, they did have the faux car up there that everyone was afterwards. Everyone was just, like, trying to take pictures of it, by the way, which is really weird.
Android L is Google's platform for the car.
Android Auto.
Oh, what did I say?
You must not have been paying attention either.
Android
Well,
L.
the thing about Android Auto that from what I can tell about Android Auto is it's not meant to be complicated. It's pretty much
right.
just your favorite Android apps on a larger display, really, right?
Yeah.
And maybe with some Google Now functionality built into there, which I think is great. I mean, I don't know. I don't know too much about Apple's car software, but I like Android Auto because it's simple and it looks straightforward, and it doesn't look like there are a lot of annoying menus that will get in your way when you're trying to, say, navigate to a certain location in your car. So
Apple's is pretty similar. Apple basically lets you, their car thing, basically their CarPlay or iCarPlay or whatever the hell it was called, basically just like in some cars you can flip over to the iOS version or whatever, and it just does like screen mirroring sort of, and you can launch a few apps and stuff like that. It's really bare bones as well. It's really plain, and they tried to make it easy. So
BMW. If I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they only partner with BMW.
Who's that?
Apple.
Oh, I would imagine they have more
announced
partners than
more
that.
partners this week, actually.
Yeah, I would think they have more than that.
I think Android Auto's make or break here is if they can go to the third-party manufacturers for headsets and stuff like that and make a case to sell to them. Because it's one thing to be in new cars and all that kind of stuff, but if you can start seeing Android Auto being a selling point in aftermarket headsets for cars, like that would be huge for Google and Android. So I think that'll be the maker. And they listed a few third-party people up there. They didn't really talk about them, but they had them on like that partner list slide that they threw up there.
Yeah, I've got the partner
really
list.
curious.
The partner list is actually pretty extensive. Like
Yeah.
Fiat, Acura, Audi, Chevy, Bentley, Chrysler, Dodge, Ford, Honda, Hyundai, Jeep, Infiniti, Kia, Maserati, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Nissan, Ram, Volkswagen, Volvo, Suzuki, Subaru, and there's more. It's actually almost everyone except, no BMW on there, no Mercedes on there, no Lexus or Toyota on there. So,
but those are all auto manufacturers. If you can go to
Really?
well, now they're all gonna be like J&M, or that's not. I don't think that's what it's called. But if I could go to a body shop and they have headsets listed on the wall, what?
Pet Boys, Napa, like auto parts stores.
Car Boys.
Have that listed, I can get like a touchscreen with Android reinstalled, and I can just have them install that there. That will take off like a firecracker.
That would be sweet.
But how many people do that? I mean, don't they
Right.
just use the thing that came with their car, right?
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
when you upgrade.
do people really buy third party like?
Yeah, I've
CD
had one in every
players and
single car that I've had.
My mom did it. That counts.
I wasn't sure if there was a huge market for it, but
I know there used to be, but now like in-car audio pre-installed stuff's not terrible anymore.
Yeah, it's not bad anymore, right? Every car comes with a decent stereo and a CD player, or an aux cord adapter or whatever. That's all you really need these days.
Yeah, they need to kill. Somebody needs to kill the car CD player.
What?
You used to have like a book of CDs, like
That's
in the
the
back
only
of your
place I
car.
can listen to my huge CD collection, bro. You can't
Exactly. Why do you have a
Keep them
huge CD collection?
obsolete.
You have Google Music.
Because I was
at your
born in
fingertips.
1989, dude, and I was raised with CDs. There's no reason I wouldn't have a ton of CDs. I'm not
I'm
gonna get
pretty
rid
sure
of
I
them.
have like 4 books of CDs somewhere in a storage bin, and I'm never going to use them again because I
I
have
got,
this thing called Google Music
I have like
and the internet.
hard to find music stuff, like underground stuff that's not on Google Play. Stuff that's just it's too hip for Google Play.
Your
It's too
A-track
from the
collection.
90s, yeah.
My age. Not that old.
Yeah, so Android Auto, it's coming soon, they say. I don't know, the car industry just moves so slow, and everything they do is terrible when it comes to in-car entertainment, so it'll be interesting to see how they implement Android Auto and if it actually works.
Years from now. Yeah, be neat.
Yeah, like 15 years from now. Hey, could be cool. Do you guys want to talk about Android TV? I also ignored Android TV because Google TV was such a colossal failure. You guys want to talk about Android TV?
Yeah, Android TV is Google's new platform for TVs, and it's going to come pre-installed on certain TVs, and it's also going to be available in set-top boxes. There is one manufacturer that is planning an Android TV so far, and that is Razer. The end. Android TV. Thank you very much.
It already seems dead on arrival without many set-top partners,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the website for it now, and they don't even list partners. Like Android Auto listed all those car manufacturers. Android TV's like, I know they put up a slide that showed it, but
Because no one wants to play mobile games on their TV. Like, let's be real. Like, your HD TV is made for Xbox One and PS4. Like, it's not made for Angry Birds, folks.
I will say that
This is for
the thing
casual
they showed
gaming,
where you could be playing a game like on your tablet out somewhere else or on your phone, and then you get home and you could resume on a TV with a controller, that's kind of cool. I don't know when I would. I don't know when I would do that, but it's
necessity?
I'm
Like,
just not
are we that advanced?
apparently we
I'm
are
s-
now.
confused as to why Android TV and Chromecast need to exist separately of each other. I still don't understand that.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to. I'm kind of with you on that. Well, the Chromecast I don't think is powerful
Such-
enough to do all this other stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The Chromecast is $35, and apparently it's what did they say on stage at I/O? They said it's the number one streaming type of device in the world, and it beats all of the other ones like combined or something like that. It was some crazy weird thing. Apparently,
But
the
still,
Chromecast is killing it.
Still #1 on Amazon, isn't it?
Probably by a mile and a
Yeah.
half. Yeah.
They have such a good product there, and now they're introducing this new thing, and just
They're not bastard childing Chromecast.
No,
or
they're
anything
not.
like that. I mean, they didn't even really. I mean,
I think
they
basically
did
what they're
mention-
doing is they still want you to buy a Chromecast so people can quickly cast things, to screens. But then they want to try to get all these TV manufacturers that build terrible smart TV UIs to just adopt Android. So then they're in your living room on your TV as well. I don't think it's supposed to be against Chromecast, but I think they want to say we've built a better platform than whatever junk Samsung's putting on their TVs. You should just put this on there. And I think the problem is Samsung and LG and Vizio and all these people think they've built really good software in their TVs, so I don't know that they're really going to just run and jump and adopt Android TV after the failure that was Google TV. But you never know. Things could change.
I think it's also in part for people who just can't give up remote controls and who need an interface to navigate to the different streaming apps. I mean, Chromecast, I'd say my parents fit into that category. Chromecast is great if you just naturally reach for your smartphone whenever you want to watch a TV show or a movie. But if you can't wrap your head around that, then devices like Fire TV and Android TV make a lot more sense, and Roku for that matter. But
well, yeah, but there's still something to be said about the old channel guide, just flipping through and seeing what's playing.
Yeah,
you
and I
don't
was
have-
surprised. It was interesting that I think Google showed a version of Android TV, or I mean a set-top box running Android TV that seemed to funnel in live content like cable content. I think it also had like its own third-party guide as well. I thought they would abandon that completely and just focus on streaming apps, but it seems like there will be Android TV devices with HDMI-in capability. I'm not sure.
I think you would want that. Okay, my first thing was a lot of people are cord cutting, so even you will want to focus on this app streaming and stuff because a lot of people like say, I really don't need TV except for I watch a lot of sports. So if there weren't sports on live TV that I wanted, I would have cut the cord a long time ago because I have HBO Go, Hulu, Netflix, and all that crap. Amazon now. The other thing is, say like the Xbox One, where you can stream your TV through it and kind of manipulate it differently than, say, how Comcast would allow me to with their set-top box, which is god-awful hardware. I think
software.
Yeah, again, this is like a fledgling platform that we still have to see grow and develop into something more mature. I think because right now it's pretty basic in terms of what they even showed us. So, God bless you, Eric.
Just chill.
Thank you.
Let's see if it even makes it to market, I guess.
It'll make it. It may not be It may not be as successful as Eric Schmidt would want it to be. Shout out to Ron.
What up, Ron?
Yeah, Ron Ode. But yeah, who knows? Google, they're just throwing stuff out, hoping it sticks.
They were throwing so much stuff out there. Yeah. Well, we'll pay attention to Android TV and see where it goes. But I think all of us are not really all that excited.
I have so many boxes hooked up to my TV now. I'm just like, how many do I actually need?
Right.
Yeah, the Fire TV I've still been using only because I can play like The Walking Dead before it comes out on Google Play.
Right, because they keep getting all those games before Google Play.
Yeah, thank you, Amazon.
I just use an Xbox 360. I mean, that does the job. But yeah, I think the app ecosystem is the most important. At least Android TV will have that, if nothing else.
It will.
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of Chromecast, there was some actually decent announcements there. We're getting mirroring to, well, only a select number of devices. HTC One, M7, I would think M8, G2, G2 Pro, Nexus 4, 5, 7, 10, and some Samsung devices. No Motorola mentioned, but you'll get cast screen mirroring basically to Chromecast. Kyle, what else did they announce? They had a whole bunch of stuff, I thought. Do you remember some of the other stuff they announced there?
Yeah, mirroring. Something else, another cool feature is that, and I guess this is coming in a few weeks or months. They didn't really give a firm release window, but you will apparently be able to cast stuff to Chromecasts without having to connect to the local Wi-Fi.
Yes, that's right.
Like if you're in a friend's house and the friend has a Chromecast and you want to show, and you want to put a video up on screen, apparently you'll just be able to do that without having to bother with Wi-Fi passwords. And I guess they're using a cool kind of technology to do that. I believe it's, what was it, ultrasonic?
Yeah, ultrasonic
pulses or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I guess the Chromecast is will be emitting once this rolls out ultrasonic sounds that aren't audible to the human ear, but
everyone's dog is gonna just
my dog's
out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wolf pup's gonna eat everyone.
Sounds that your phone will be listening to, and if it hears those pulses, it will automatically pair for you. But I guess there's also going to be a pin mechanism if the ultrasonic technologies are working for whatever reason. And also, you're going to be able to, well, I guess this kind of goes along with that new feature, but you're going to be able to cast, or you're going to be able to stream video over like 4G and 3G to the Chromecast instead of having to rely on Wi-Fi. So, yeah, Google certainly isn't abandoning Chromecast. It's getting some cool stuff. And
they also are going to let you customize like all the pictures and stuff in the background. Yeah,
which is cool. Yeah, with the one talk of Google Plus. And everyone thought it was dead, but nope, it's back.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
Support.
That was the only mention of Google Plus at the conference, right?
It was.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah, I think they knew better than to bring it up.
Well, no, they just had so much other crap to talk about. 3 hours worth of crap. They're like,
Google Plus is dead.
Yeah, 320, nah. Anyways,
Yeah, so lots of Chromecast stuff coming. I think they just said by this fall, maybe. I think over the next few months or something like that. But yeah, Chromecast is getting better. Yes, it is. Okay, so finally, I/O stuff. Nexus program is not dying, according to one of their big Android engineers. It's well, he wouldn't exactly fully acknowledge Android Silver, but he kind of said he acknowledged that it existed, but that people are exaggerating the importance of or unimportance of Nexus or whatever you want to go with that. He basically said like when we make new versions of Android and new features, we use Nexus devices, a new Nexus device to test that and work with that at the same time and all that stuff. So Nexus is not going anywhere, at least for now.
yeah, seriously, stop saying
Stop writing it.
Yeah, please.
All the Russians and whoever else is leaking things about the Nexus program dying, just shush. It's not dying.
That's kind of a good segue into the rumored HTC device, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Volantis.
Yes, the HTC Volantis / what's the other nickname for it?
Flounder.
Oh, it is Flounder. That's right. Flounder / Volantis
/ Nexus 9
/ Nexus 9 / who knows
/ who cares. It's a tablet.
It's a Nexus though.
It'll be awesome. Well, according to from what the reported specs we saw today, stuff has been flying around about this device quite a bit. But today, EvLeaks tweeted out, thanks to his sources, apparently a macro shot, even though it's the worst picture of nothing I've ever seen in my life, but it's a macro shot of something. It looks like pop art to me, but he's saying there's like a development tablet out there running with a Snapdragon 810 processor with 5 gigs of RAM. Yes, because that's necessary. But it will release with a Tegra K1, which is something we have heard before, that the next Nexus would be running a Tegra K1. Let's see, it's got 8.9-inch display with a 2560 by 1600 resolution, except this dev unit is running some really funky resolution. I didn't even bother to write it down because it was so cattywampus. 8 megapixel rear facing camera, and since it's a HTC made device, it's got that aluminum if you're from England, or aluminum if you're from America, unibody design. With the boom sound speakers. Don't know if I'm guessing those would be front facing, but who knows yet. And the last part, unsubstantiated rumor that it's running Android Silver OS. So
whatever the hell that means, yeah.
Yeah, who knows? We thought that Silver was going to only be kind of a hardware platform or some type of development kit, essentially, for manufacturers to follow. But now it's could be an OS. Like we just don't know. So until Google, your guess is, please.
Oh, that it is just a bloatware-free version of Android L, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely, that could totally be it, and everyone would just praise Jeebus if it was. So who knows? Because no one likes bloat. Let's be honest.
Aluminium.
That was watching Olbermann today.
UK, this is so random, but yeah, UK people say the weirdest things.
Yeah, they do.
That's a talk for another day. So yeah, HTC Nexus 9 Volantis Flounder aluminium tablet running a Snapdragon 810 or a Tegra, depending on who you're talking to.
With 5 gigs of RAM.
With 5 gigs of RAM. Suck on that, Microsoft tablet things. All right. Moto X Plus 1. Potential specs. So this came out yesterday, I believe, or maybe Monday. Anyway, so this Brazilian retailer who outed the Moto E like 2 days before Motorola announced it, posted up this sort of work in progress page of what they were calling the Moto X Plus 1, and they listed out a full list of specs, which were 5.2-inch full HD display, Android 4.4.4, a Snapdragon 800, 12 megapixel rear camera, 5 megapixel front, 2 gig of RAM, 32 gig storage, micro SD support, 2900 milliamp hour battery. They've obviously pulled that now, so it's tough to tell if that's legit or not. Those are sort of the specs I think that have been rumored off and on for a while, so kind of what we maybe expected to hear. tough to tell if that's official or not. Like if they actually had an official list and posted it. They did list a note on the posting that said it was basically whoever created the post was asking another employee of the company to confirm the information. So I don't know if they were just saying double check my work to make sure I got it right, or double check these rumored specs that have been floating around. I don't know. If those are the specs, though, I'm all for that. Because I think Motorola will put a 5.2-inch display in a body that's like 4.9 or something, so it won't feel huge. It'll be like the Nexus 5 or something, size-wise, my guess, which would be fine.
Yeah, what I like about those specs is that they're not over the top. That was the first thing that caught me. I was like, okay, good. It's actually something believable. And that's usually the ones that kind of stick with. If I saw, 4 gigs or 3 gigs of RAM, I don't expect that. Cameras, I could see the bump up to 12 instead of being 13 or 16, something ridiculous. No matter how many megapixels this Motorola phone is going to have, it's still going to suck. Like, it's not going to be any better. Motorola's never been able to produce a phone with a decent camera.
They'll
Never.
fix it through software. Don't worry.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's right.
I can't wait.
The crazy thing is that when the Moto X came out and everyone universally trashed the camera, then they said, we're going to push this update out to fix it. And it actually improved it greatly, yet it's still terrible. That's how bad it was initially. And they were like, no, we've got this clear pixel technology. It's really awesome. Okay.
They're still pushing out updates that
they're still
supposedly fix it.
Their software has been getting better. You got to give them credit on the software. It is getting better. It's just the sensors they're using are they're doggy poo. They're just not very good.
They are doggy duty.
Doggy duty.
There's so much dog do that while I was in San Francisco last week, I had my Moto X, and then I was like, man, I've never been one to complain about the camera, but Tim, you need to bring a camera for me to use. So all my vacation photos don't look like garbage. So
I switched to a Galaxy S5, and now they look brilliant.
I got bailed out by the Galaxy S5 halfway through my vacation last week.
Well, it's crazy. When you get a good camera, all of a sudden you're inspired to go take shots, and put them on Instagram and stuff. But if I'm rocking a Moto X or something like that, I'm not posting any of my pictures. Or even a Nexus 5, I feel embarrassed because colors are washed out and stuff. Like, ugh.
Speaking of that.
Yeah, Kellen was talking about it.
Old. But I sat down and I was like, man, I've never been one to hate on the Moto X camera that much, but when you put it like right up against the Galaxy S5, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, so I've been using the OnePlus One for a while, and I switched back to the Nexus 5 to run Android L, and I took a picture the other day, put it on Instagram of like a beer. I was at a brewery, and somebody immediately goes, "Oh, what phone are you using now?" And I was like, "Oh God, they could tell I'm using this terrible Nexus 5 camera." I had to admit it. Yes. So
should have just said you were using some type of prototype, something that wasn't like optimized.
Prototype.
Can't tell you about it. Sorry.
Can't tell you about it. So anyway, Moto X Plus One rumors out there. No one knows. Motorola's actually done a pretty good job at keeping rumors or devices in house and not leaking stuff all that much. So I think last year all the Moto X rumors came from Taylor Wimberly, who's no longer in the game. So we don't have any Motorola stuff to go on right now, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Everything used to leak out of there. God, we used to leak all of their stuff back in the day, and then they locked it up. All right, LG G3 news. T-Mobile officially announces July 16th availability. You can pre-order now for about $600. No other carrier has mentioned a date in the U.S.
Although I would like to say that Sprint did tweet out, which is kind of old. They did talk about pre-registration for the device already for a launch in July. And the render of their G3 does say July 25th on the date. So that's confirmed. July 25th for Sprint release.
Confirmed. Screenshot confirmation. Yeah.
We're confirming it now on the Droid Live Show live.
Yeah. You've heard it here first, folks.
Right. So yeah, G3 to T-Mobile, July 16th. We don't know when it's coming anywhere else. I've heard later July for Verizon. I think we've even heard that Verizon was going to get it first on like July 26th or some random date, but clearly T-Mobile's getting it before that. So
It's pissing me off, man. That phone is awesome, and it's not fair that LG and U.S. carriers aren't working a little bit harder to get that phone available. I got MKBHD giving away like 75 of devices, and we can't get people here in America the phone on carriers. It's really ridiculous.
Mhm.
And I can see people are losing interest. You know, they're not talking about it as much anymore. And to me, that's unacceptable because G3 is still my phone of the year, at least until, you know, we see what Motorola's doing. But I love the G3. That thing is so awesome. G Money. That's right. Like the camera's legit.
Actually, I have to back you up. Like when I first sat down, and you handed me the G3. I was very impressed. I hadn't seen it in my hand before that. The screen on that thing is so nice. Holy crap!
Feels really good in hand. That
Feels
phone.
good in hand. The camera's awesome. The battery life was good. I had a janky Korean model, but that's okay. Like other than the janky software, that was like just my favorite phone probably. So
they announced it on May 27th, and we're in July, so we're over a month. It'll be 2 basically by the time T-Mobile gets it. That's a long time, especially with Motorola knocking on the door.
Samsung
right
coming
there.
with their Galaxy F or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Who knows what's going on?
Better get on it, LG,
Wars
or it's gonna be
coming
a
up.
bad quarter.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
All right, so just briefly, I do have a OnePlus One, which I mentioned or did a, I don't know, tour unboxing of a couple weeks ago. I actually really like the phone. As huge as it is, I actually really like the phone. The battery lasts like 2.5 days or something wild. Or the camera's decent. It's runs CM, so it's basically like stock Android. I'll have more later on that, but yeah, OnePlus One. I know no one can get one, and everyone hates them right now. But if you can get one, I would actually suggest thinking about picking one up. It's actually a pretty solid phone. So it has this crazy backside on it. Where is the thing?
Yeah,
this
I got
crazy backside. Yeah, it's the
get my
weirdest
hands on a
feeling.
lot of phones when I met you guys last week. But the OnePlus One was probably my favorite. Like out of like Galaxy S5, the G3, you know, everything that I saw last week, the OnePlus One was really cool. I would definitely put my money into one of those if it was on Verizon. It doesn't, like, I picked it up and I was kind of messing with it, and then you reminded me how huge it is. I didn't really think about it, you know, when I first picked it up. Like, it doesn't feel massive. So
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty big, but I've started to get used to it. But like the buttons are placed properly and stuff like that, so I don't know. It's a pretty sweet phone.
The backside of that device, so cool.
Yeah,
It's like
the weirdest
sandpaper,
texture
right?
ever.
It's like the closest thing I want to say, but it's not like rough like that.
It's not rough.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, it's 7:20. We didn't really leave much time for Q&A. Is everyone going to be mad if we don't do Q&A?
Oh,
Tim, do you really want to do Q&A?
no, we gotta shoot through other stuff. I'm gonna
Okay.
pass out if I don't need it soon.
Oh yeah, we don't want Tim passing out. Sorry, folks, no Q&A this week. We will do it 2 weeks from
Next
now.
Just
I
start
think we're
shooting
doing
stuff.
shit on next one.
Yeah, shoot stuff in the comments. We read it. We'll see it.
Yeah, people can read it off while we're going through apps. Shoot off some questions if you have it in the chat. So Tim, you got a couple apps you want to talk about?
I got 2 apps I want to talk about. One is called Blek, B-L-E-K. I will go ahead and link that in the chat for everybody. Blek is an interesting game. It is quite minimal. Actually, I'm going to talk about 2 very frustrating games. Blek is very frustrating. What it is it's a gesture drawing game. So what you do is you're given a puzzle, like a level, and then you create a gesture that repeats itself enough to get all the balls in the level, and some are hidden behind other dots that you can't touch. Some are hidden behind lines. Some are hidden like in grid patterns. So you just have to draw gestures that will make their way to obtain the balls. It's kind of hard to explain exactly, but I tried. I think I did okay. But it's called Blek. It costs $2.99. I think I said I gave a story along with the game, and it's one of the games that my friends on iOS have been showing off, for some time. And apparently, it's some mass success on iOS, like every other game. Apparently, every time I talk about a new game, it's been some huge success on iOS. So I don't know how all these games can get awarded and stuff. But either way, Blek, it's a fun game, like I said, though, it is frustrating. So if you're not very good at puzzlers, I'm not the best puzzler guy, but I do enjoy good graphics and good gameplay, so it was alright. Check it out. What's cool is like if you just do your signature, like I did the first initial of my signature, and you can actually complete some puzzles doing it. I just thought it was neat. Try it on your own signature. I don't know. I just thought it was fun. The second game is called Wave Wave. Oh yeah, good old Wave Wave. This game pisses me off, dude. I actually don't even like it. Let's see. I'll link it here in the thing. But I wanted to talk about it because I know a lot of other people like these types of games. It's a Twitch game, so the quicker your brain works, the better you might be able to do. Oh, I hate this game. It's a line. It's like a platformer, except it tilts. It's like rotating and spinning at the same time, and it's a black line. You have to press on the screen to make the line go up or down, and you have to navigate through like triangles, or I guess they would be triangles. Some are upside down, some are right side up. Either way, you just have to navigate a line through it. The lights are going off, everything's flickering. You're gonna get a seizure if you play it, but it costs $1.99 on Google Play. If you like Twitch games like Super Hexagon, I think it was called, really fast-moving game. If you like that type of stuff that are super frustrating and makes you want to throw your phone, go for it. But I'm not liable for any damage you do or anybody you hurt. So, Wave Wave, check it out, and that's all I got.
Yeah, I have no apps, so that's all your apps for the week.
All right.
Eric, you want to talk about this silly cardboard thing that came out at I.O.?
Okay, so here's the story. I go up to Kellen and Tim's hotel room. We're hanging out, and this was after the keynote, so I saw the cardboard thing, and Tim has got his set up, and Kellen's like, hey, do you want to keep this? I think it's stupid. So basically, if you saw it at Google, if you saw it at the keynote, what they gave out was just a flat piece of cardboard that eventually folds into a little viewfinder thing. And this was made in a Googler's 20% time. And you open it up, you put your phone in here after downloading the cardboard app, you close it up, and it's basically Google saying, look, we can make an Oculus Rift out of cardboard. It becomes this three-dimensional viewfinder where you can go through like Street View, and you can do the sunny day thing that Motorola did, or windy day, yeah. So I think it's awesome. I mean, it's just a piece of cardboard, 2 magnets, and these little lenses on the inside that you look through. And I mean, it's pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome.
Helen didn't like it, so he just was like, "Here, take this. I'm gonna throw it away." So,
yeah, like I got. Yeah, sorry, go for it.
Well, the rumor is.
I just want to talk about cardboard.
So, last part. I was driving back down to my apartment the other day, and I had this on the passenger seat, and it was sitting in the sun. And I pull up to a stoplight, and I look down, and there's like these little fumes coming out of the nose piece here, and I'm like, "What is that?" And I pick it up, and I look at it, and they're gone. So I set it back down in the sun. The sun was coming through the window of my car and being focused into these lenses, and it was focusing them down to a point. And there are these little, it was literally burning the cardboard. If you can see that little spot there.
Yeah.
So my Google Cardboard literally almost burned down my car. If I hadn't paid attention, it would have caught on fire and killed me.
Kind of awesome.
20 minutes of Google time almost took your life.
20%.
Right.
20%.
I think it's very interesting. I mean, Samsung is supposedly building an actual product that's something like cardboard, right? That's what the rumors
Probably.
are. I think I wrote that up a while
don't need
ago.
a virtual cardboard face in my life. I just don't have room for it.
Kellen's a straight up hater.
I am straight
I'll
up
tell
cardboard
my
hater.
story now. We got back to the room, and I'm like, okay, what the hell is this thing? I started opening it up, and first of all, the instructions are damn near impossible to follow. It took me 10 minutes to set this thing up. Maybe just because I'm not even very good at IKEA hardware. Let's face it. So after I get it going, Kellen gets a call. He goes outside, and I was like, okay, you go outside. I'm gonna play with cardboard. So I stick the phone in there, and mind you, I've got a G3 with a QHD display, and so I put that bad boy in there. And it does make a difference before anyone says anything. It totally makes a difference. So I put it in there. I put it up to my face, and I opened up the YouTube app, and I was just blown away. I was in like a whole nother world for like 5 minutes. I was just like, man, there's like a world of videos. You can look at them and except watch a video. It feels like you're in like a 3D movie theater, almost like I watched a trailer for a movie, and I was like, holy crap, that was awesome. It's a whole new experience. And then Kenley comes in, and I was like, okay, stop what you're doing, like whatever you got going on, you got to check out Cardboard. And he was like, oh yeah, it's all right. He just like he was not feeling it. And I was almost like, I was kind of saddened by that. I was like, oh, he's too jaded to like really to want Cardboard. So,
I mean, it works very well for the app. Like I was
it's a
for
piece of
something that
cardboard.
like tossed out at the end of the keynote. It works so well. It is very
awesome.
responsive, very fun.
It was a great time. I had a blast. I'm glad
so
you
Callum is the party pooper here.
Totally.
I think that's what we can.
Absolutely.
We
Pretty
can
much.
cover there.
Oh well.
I'm glad you guys had fun with the cardboard.
Yeah.
All right, I've got nothing else. We're an hour and a half in.
Yeah, all right. I didn't see any questions or anything like that, so.
No, just people talking about trolling.
Trolling. Well, I hope everyone has a fantastic evening.
Apparently, Eric is the Tim Howard of Droid Life.
Oh,
I don't know
does he save this show? Or does he defend it?
So, you guys aren't performing. I got to keep up.
Record number of saves.
For everyone that's listening to this and not watching, Tim is wearing his Germany World Cup
Deutschland.
Represent.
just the day after the loss. So.
Well, at least
He was
Germany.
wearing it the day of that loss. against
Like,
Germany.
come on. Yeah. I've been wearing it a lot. I found that this shirt is good luck. Like, I'm part of a bowling league. Many of you probably know this, but I wore it and I beat my average all 3 games that night. And I was like, I'm never taking this thing off. I haven't showered since then. It's been 2
Tim
weeks.
has not taken off his German kit.
My kit. Yes. And my aluminium little band on it.
That's great. That's awesome.
People are asking. I don't think they're selling cardboard anywhere. I think it was just like an eye.
You can find it on eBay for like $60 if you really want.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's not worth $60, but it was a pretty cool little thing.
$60.
According to Tim and Eric, it's worth $60.
Okay, $40 tops. Like if you see it for $40, pick it up because it's pretty sweet. But anything over 40, it's not really worth it. So.
Do not spend $40 on cardboard and magnets.
You're gonna want this for $40.
You can download the app and make your own makeshift cardboard if you really want to.
Yeah, but you won't have the instructions to put it together like they have printed on.
Yeah, I didn't know where the instructions were, so I had to figure that thing out without instructions. I don't know how
Okay. Tim and Eric will take a picture of the instructions and upload it somewhere. So you can grab a cardboard box in your garage and make cardboard.
But then you don't have the lenses.
Oh, God. All right, I give up.
All right, cool.
The lenses, which are a fire hazard if you're driving home to Indiana.
Just
catch the
wait
piece
for
of cardboard.
Oculus.
Yeah, just wait for whatever Samsung does. I'm sure it'll be awesome.
Oh, that's a good thing. All right, you got it.
The Galaxy.
The Galaxy Cardboard.
Right.
The Gear Cardboard Duo.
It's somehow only compatible with Samsung phones.
Gear Cardboard Glass. All right. Any parting words?
Nice.
Wrap up. Oh, so 4th of July this weekend, and next week I am out, so no show next week. Maybe there will be a Tato show or something. Who knows?
Holy crap! $21. Everyone follow that link and buy.
Bye. Cardboard.
Yeah.
Open.
Yeah, a Tato show. That might actually be kind of fun. Tweet at me at Timotato, and if you would like me to have a Tato show, I want to have a Tato show. That's actually a really good idea. Maybe I can find myself a little guest, something like that.
Tato
maybe.
show guest for next Wednesday.
President Obama will be joining me. Confirmed.
Oh, you were
Barry.
here first.
Little Barry on the Tato show.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. Well,
All
good.
right. Thanks for joining. Episode 6-3. Peace.
Nice. Poof.